What's up, y'all? So I hope everything gets well with y'all. So I'm about to get straight to the point. So the IT job market is garbage right now, right? And this is just not going off of my personal experience, but this is also going off of a lot of people that I know personal experience. They have a hard time getting a good paying IT job. Um, whether that's in cybersecurity, and we know cybersecurity is more specialized, it takes a lot more experience. And with IT, that's where you get more of like your entry level roles, even though a lot of these roles that are out now are not even entry level roles. And for the entry level roles that are out right now, they're not paying anything. They're paying like $15 to $17 an hour. Most of these roles that I'm seeing in the Midwest area, and this is from people, whether the people just have certifications, some college. I have an associate's degree. I have multiple certifications: Security Plus, the A Plus certification, the ITL Plus certification, and I have 2 years of solid experience in information technology working as a system support analyst. And with working as a system support analyst, I have I would say it's a very broad job, right? Because not only are you doing over the phone support, working in the call center, you're also in the field, right? Working with labs, classrooms. So I worked at a university, working at labs, classrooms, installing faculty and staff, whether they had a Mac or a PC, installing their workstations. If labs need to be replaced, if the equipment need to be replaced, I replace the equipment. Um, Sometimes we had to change the projector light bulbs, troubleshoot the smart boards, things of that nature. So it was a very broad description. It was a very broad job. So I had the best of all worlds in the job that I worked, which a lot of IT jobs don't have that. Sometimes you're either just in the call center, or sometimes you're just strictly in hardware, and then you have jobs like mine to where you had the best of both worlds. But even with that, I still find it hard to find a good paying IT job. And my IT job, which I ended up quitting back in February, I made only $17.50 an hour. I was there for a year and a half. Within that year and a half, I only got a 50-cent raise. I thought I would at least get a bigger raise than that. Um, and that was somewhat a hold because we were switching CFOs. So there was a hold on anybody getting a promotion in the IT department. So it would have been a while before I was able to get promoted to specialist. Even though like after a year or so, you're already supposed to get promoted to specialist, and this was everybody. Now, even people with bachelor's degrees, they're struggling to find a good paying IT job. And the thing is, I think because it's been romanticized so much over the internet and glamorized, that everybody is moving towards it right now. And it's a point to where it's just oversaturated now. It's oversaturated. You have everybody trying to get into IT. So the job market is trash. There's when things get oversaturated, um the demand for it gets lower, and therefore it drives the wages down. So yeah, the job market is garbage right now. So I'm currently to the point to where I'm just finna throw in the towel when it comes to information technology, and I'm just trying to work and get money now. Um, I'm looking for a job, that's gonna pay well with great benefits. And don't get me wrong, the IT job that I had, it did have great benefits, even though the pay was relatively low. The job that I'm at now, it pays better, but the benefits is not that good. So this job that I'm working now is just a job. I'm working in the meantime until I find something better. And I just want to give you a brief rundown on how I got introduced to IT, right? So I got introduced to IT back in 2018, 2019 through this program called Empower that my stepmother worked at. Now, this was right after I had ended up failing out of college for electrical engineering. I had failed out. I had like over 90 credits, but with electrical engineering, the math and science is very tedious, and I was just not prepared for it. My study habits was not the best. Coming from high school, I barely had to study in high school, so going into an environment to where you never learned any of this stuff, especially in high school, or you never even touched some of this stuff, because some of this stuff um, kids are learning in middle school. But my high school, it was a low budget high school, so we didn't have a lot of those classes. And in high school, I barely had to study like that. My junior senior year, I was taking a whole bunch of PEs, and I was just chilling. I had all my credits. I was taking college classes while I was in high school. But yeah, other than that, man, I was chilling for real in high school. So having to go to an environment like that and then moving to college. Now I did go to junior college first, which made it a lot easier. Even though junior college wasn't easy for me as well, but I don't have a lot of student loan debt like most people have because I did go to junior college, and I got most of that paid for free because I went through a pre-engineering scholarship. So that's a good thing. And then I'll say about after I got my associate's degree, I got my associate's degree in like a year and a half or so. I ended up going to SIU, Southern Illinois University, right? I went there for electrical engineering, and it was a different ball game. I mean, them classes they was hard, and I just was not prepared for it. I was able to make it for like the first couple semesters, get through, get by, but man, that last semester, I just didn't get through it. And really, like I said, I had over like 90 something credits. In order to pass my degree program, I just had 3 semesters left, so I ended up filling out, and I was staying in Carbondale at the time, and then just everything seemed like it was going south in my life during that time, so I ended up moving in with my father. He he stayed in St. Louis. So I got introduced to IT because I never really knew what IT was through Empower, and it was a non-for-profit program to where they teach you like the fundamentals of IT. You can get your certifications. They have job placement. So I went through that program and I did really well. And I really found a love for IT because naturally I was just good at it. I just clicked it like that. It just came natural to me. And after I went through the program, I ended up eventually landing an internship. The internship that I had, I'm not gonna really say the company, but I had like a 3 month internship. Now, I would say this was my first bad experience with getting into the job market in IT. Now, this was back in 2019. This was pre-COVID. So 2018, 2019, pre-COVID. So, even after the internship, they had me doing a lot of documentation and stuff. I worked with the server build team. They had me doing documentation, Splunk querying, and I worked over there at the help desk for I'll say about like 2 weeks. And I'm not gonna lie, they help desk was the most boring help desk ever. They help desk was so boring to me. Like just sitting there and answering calls all day, that just that took the life out of me. That's how I actually really started getting into drinking coffee. Just from that job right there, just to keep me up because it was so boring. And I was just ready to fall asleep, like just sitting there taking calls all day. I was like, whoa, this is crazy. Like, I'm like, man, I can't do this. But I still want to get a job there to get the experience. I talked to the manager, trying to see if I can get hired on, right? And instead of her directly coming out and telling me and saying, nah, I don't really want to hire you for this reason and that reason, she sent me around a circle, right? She was like, well, I'm not really in charge of the hiring, so you will have to go up here and ask them and ask them. And I did all that, and they pointed me right back to her. And then she finally just said, I can't hire you because of this reason. And basically, she said, it has something to do with my speech or whatever, right? Which I can code switch, but at the time I was talking how I usually talk, in the streets, right? Talk doing a regular conversation. I know how to code switch and stuff. I'm real good at code switching because I did it for over a year and a half when I worked at the university that I worked at, and I did very well. Everybody understood what I was saying. Um, they actually loved me. They was like, "Oh, Lewis, that's you." Like, "Oh yes, I'm glad I got you on the phone." So and so. This the issue that I'm having. So, but instead of her just telling me that, she sent me around the circle, and that left a bad taste in my mouth for real. It really left a bad taste in my mouth. And then at that time, it was just hard to find a job. Even then, I put in applications, tons of applications. It was just hard to get interviews. And then I didn't have no experience at all. So it was just 5 times harder. So fast forward, right? Few years done passed. I done got into the trades and everything, working as an iron worker. And y'all, I could really just do a whole video about all the different careers and jobs I done had and my different experiences. I done had so many different jobs and careers. It's crazy. Um, and I don't think that's a good thing. I really do need to eventually find something and stick to it. But hey, I'm still in my 20s. I'm trying to figure it out, you know. But Fast forward a couple years, right? The trade I was in, it wasn't steady pay. The money wasn't steady. I wasn't getting paid as much as I needed to. With construction, especially like working for the unions, it's it's, it's a lot of things. It's a lot of cons to it, right? One of them is the driving distance, right? I had to drive like just about an hour to work every day, which is no problem. I got to work every day. I had to be at work. Another thing is I had to drive to another state that pays a lot lower than the state I lived in. So that's another thing, So the wages was lower in the state. I was driving all the way to Kentucky. I lived in Illinois at this time. Um, if you know about Southern Illinois, it's about like 10. You got a bridge to Missouri, and then you got a bridge to Kentucky as well. So you can get both of them in 10 minutes, if that makes sense. So I was driving all the way to Kentucky, to work and stuff like that. Which, the weeks I did work 4 weeks, pay was good. But when it was raining and stuff like that, or storming and stuff like that, work was inconsistent. And then on top of that, I realized, I didn't care for the work as much like that. I wasn't as passionate about it. Most jobs that I usually get, I'm naturally able to pick to pick it up. With ironwork, I wasn't naturally able to pick it up like that. It took me a while, and it's just like a lot of people there. They had years and years of experience before even joining the union. I didn't have that much experience, and I had different types of jobs. I had welding jobs, fencing jobs, putting up guardrails, working on metal buildings. So I did all that type of stuff. But I was just like, this is not really for me. So I heard Empire was doing the advanced cybersecurity program. So I was like, okay, that's cool. Let me try this advanced cybersecurity program out. So I went through the advanced cybersecurity program, got my Security Plus certification, and during the time I ended up quitting my ironworking job, and I worked at Walmart. Throughout the night, I worked at Walmart overnight, and then I would come back, get a little rest, and then the class was virtual now. Back in 2019, it was in person. This time it was virtual, and I'm thinking this is about like 2022. This is post COVID, right? I didn't have me a kid and everything. I finally might have moved back to Southern Illinois, stayed with my mom a little bit, got me an apartment, and the class was virtual, so I went through classes and stuff, worked at Walmart at night, and I ended up getting the Security Plus certification. So after that, I was like, all right, well, I got this Security Plus certification. It's time for me to start looking for a job. So I started applying to the jobs, and I started to apply to jobs in St. Louis because, at the time it was, I was kind of ready to move because me and my baby mama was going through a lot of stuff at that time. So I was like, man, I need to go ahead and get away from here because there's not too many jobs down there in Southern Illinois. So I'm like, all right. So what I ended up doing, I eventually landing a job at the university up here in St. Louis. Moved in with my granny for a little bit, and then just worked that job. And then I ended up getting a second job because I was like, alrighty, I want my own place up here in St. Louis. I got to get me a second job because, like I said, the job at the time it started off at $17 an hour. That's not enough to get no apartment in St. Louis. So I'm like, all right, I got to get me a second job. So I ended up getting me a second job, which was, doing security. Which, if any of y'all need a part-time job, or if you want a job that works with the schedule, I try security. I'm telling you, that's one of the best part-time jobs you can have. You're barely doing anything. Um, and even if you just need a job just for something to do, you got some money, but maybe you need to make a little extra money. Security, it's laid back. You ain't got to do too much labor. It's not labor intensive at all. Hey, security, I'm telling you. So I worked there for about a year and a half, right? But like after around like 6 months to a year, I was like, all right, I gotta really start looking for something else because I'm still not making enough money. 17 an hour is not cutting it for me. Even after my year 1750, that wasn't cutting it for me. So I had tons of interviews within this time frame. And this is after I have the experience. Let's say after a year or so, right? I'm getting I'm getting call interviews and stuff, right? I talk to them, everything seems to go well. End up getting a second interview, things seem to go well. Sometimes I will get ghosted. Sometimes on these call interviews, um, they kind of want you to have 100% everything, right? Even if you got like vast experience, it seems like with these recruiters, if you don't have 100% of everything on a resume, they be like, they kind of looking for this. They real, they really want this. So, um, if I find something else, I hit you up. I'm like, all right, cool. Okay, for the ones that I did went on to do second and third interviews. It seemed like I really got close to getting hired on, but it just like at the last interview, I either get ghosted, and that happened a lot of times to where I just got ghosted, no feedback at all, or some of them they be like, well, we found the interview went great and everything, but we end up finding another candidate. And I went through that a lot, and I'm telling you, I have about like close to about like 50 different interviews, just including the phone interviews, um, the virtual interviews through Zoom that I did, in person interviews. It was mainly virtual interviews, but I say up to about like 50 interviews around that range, and it just seemed like none ever clicked. So I can only imagine how it is for people just getting out of college and don't have any experience at all. I have a solid 2 years of experience. This including my intern, including my over a year and a half working as a system support analyst. And like I said, you know, I have a strong foundation. Like I was Adobe administrator. I have a strong foundation in hardware, over the phone technical support, installing workstations, the software. We didn't really dive too much into the software, but like as far as like the basic levels of like troubleshooting Zoom and stuff, with the system that we had, because the systems that's used in different organizations vary. But through the system that we had, I had a strong foundation. I have a strong foundation in all of it, and it's still hard for me to get an interview. I mean, land a good paying job. When I say decent paying, that's like 25 and up, right? I wasn't looking for nothing crazy. I was looking for something to pay me at least like $25 and up, right? And I even didn't mind taking something for like 22 an hour, right? If the benefits were great and I had room to move up in the company. The thing is, the organization I was at, there was really no way to move up. There was like a big gap between us and the networking team and the security team. My goal is cybersecurity, but me personally, I didn't have to go right into cybersecurity. I would have took a administrator role, which I started on a very basic level, as a Adobe administrator. I would have took an administrator role. I would have took a network, network engineer role. Well, not necessarily network, but just a role in networking, a network technician role, and then move on up from there. Because network engineer, that's a more advanced role. But I didn't mind doing that, so I wasn't trying to make no crazy broad leaps. And I see people with bachelor's degrees trying to get in to the field now, and not even all type of people, and they're saying the same thing. They like, man, like the job market sucks right now. Like it's just like it's just so hard to get a job, even in entry level IT. Even in entry level IT, it's just hard to get a job. And these are people with bachelor's degrees in cybersecurity, bachelor degrees in IT. I don't even have my bachelor's degree. So I know if it's hard for me, and it's hard for them, I know that the job market is just garbage right now. And this is for the Midwest. I can't really speak for everywhere else. I know for the Midwest it is. So I'm just to the point to where like if I find something, I'm find something, but I'm not gonna break my back no more. I'm just trying to find a IT job. Like if it's not paying 50K or above, because when I'm working at now with overtime, I can make above 50K. With overtime, I can make above 50K. And then also, I still have my security job. I work as a flex officer. So I'm just to the point to where I'm not finna break my back trying to, look for an IT job now. So I'm not necessarily saying I'm throwing in the towel, but I'm kinda am. But if I find something out there, I find something. If none doesn't come my way, I'm moving on. I have kids, so I had to make a certain amount of money, um, so I can pay my bills and save as well. And then I had to have good benefits. So if a job is not offering that at this moment, then I'm not going to stay with that job. That's just me personally. And I hope y'all like the merch. As you can see, the new bucket hat, pray first, t-shirt. Yeah, we got some more coming. But right now, I'm in stack mode. I've been working a lot of hours. I plan on doing some pop-up shops in the future. But right now, I'm focusing on stacking my paper right now. I have a goal to reach this summer, and I'm really trying to stack and save to reach that goal. And I will be sharing with y'all that goal that I have for the summer once I get it done. I'm not really finna share it right now, but once it gets done, I'm most definitely gonna vlog it for y'all. So yeah, I'm most definitely gonna be on here more often talking about different topics. So y'all stay tuned.